Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of Houston right here at Urban Houston Network, UHN TV. I am here, Dr. Clara Brent, and also Dr. Bobby Mills, to inform you how we feel according to God's will in the United States of America. Even though we're having quite a bit of problems and troubles and situations, God is still in control. Now, we talked this morning concerning a young man, you and I, Dr. Mills, how he was treated and killed. And it hurts me to my heart to have people so evil.
Jealous of life.
Yeah, and just evil. And evilness is so abundant now in this country. And it has nothing to do with most people. It has to do with Satan and his influence over people's minds, and the lack of love that is flowing not in the country as it used to have been years ago. What do you have to say about that Marine, ex-Marine, I should say?
Unfortunately, recently in New York City, you had an ex-Marine who was on the subway, and this young man who frequently travels the same subway in the same route, and most of the people knew him. Mm-hmm. He would imitate Michael Jackson, and so he was being a little, rambunctious,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no one saw him as being
a threat.
Mm-hmm. And so he's talking, smack, as people say. And this white ex-Marine, along with two other individuals, held him down, and the ex-Marine choked him to death. Mm-hmm. And thousands, literally thousands of people took to the streets, mm-hmm. marching to ensure that justice was done in this situation. And he is indicted. He was indicted for second-degree murder. Mm-hmm. But what is even more disturbing about the situation is you have this kind of vigilanteism where a person, because they're white, think that they can take the law into their own hands and execute an individual. And then you got someone who set up a GoFund for him, and they've raised almost $3 million to this date
for him not to go to jail,
for his defense. and when you think about that, you think about the same kind of scenario with Kyle Rittenhouse when he lived in Illinois, and there was a Black Lives Matter march going on in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. He's 17 years old. His mother drives him from Illinois to Wisconsin with an AR-15. He goes and shoots and kills two people, mm-hmm. and then wounds another individual by taking the person's arm off, with that kind of high-powered gun and so forth. And they made a celebrity out of him and raised millions of dollars for him, and even former President Trump invited him to come down to Mar-a-Lago and fellowship with him. So when you have that kind of white privilege,
leadership,
white mentality in a multicultural democratic society, we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble, because when you have individuals, simply because of their skin color, thinking that they can take the law into their own hands and become the law enforcement agency. That's why we have police departments. That's why we have judges and juries and so forth. You are not the totality of the law. Now, even if you thought that the young man was doing something criminal, you know, they have subway policemen in New York.
Yeah.
All you had to do was report it to the police and let them deal with it. But here again, you have this kind of mentality on the part of some individuals because they think that they are losing the country, that somehow this is a white country, and now all of a sudden minorities are taking over, they're coming across the border, this and that, and all this kind of mess and so forth. And when they know that that's not the case.
No, it isn't.
Even when you think about it in terms of the socioeconomic structure of America, even if the population dynamics change, one thing we know is not going to change, and that's the economic structure of American society.
Exactly.
And because it's no way on the face of God's green earth
will anyone ever catch up with the whites.
Ever will, any other ethnic group will ever
catch up,
control economically American society.
True.
Because white people have had the opportunity
for over 400 years
to create wealth and pass it on from generation to generation.
Exactly right. And so it's not happening with the race, our race, or any other race that has come into America. We were brought here, but the others that have come here, it's never going to be that way.
Yeah, so we're more American, if you want to put it that way, than anyone else.
And we should be on the second level. Of course, we're not. And it seems like it's so much hate for our color. Not for our intelligence, not for our love, for our caring and forgiveness. Because the blacks have forgiven many things that has happened to us in regards to what has been done to our race of people right here in America. So we know we have an enemy, but the enemy is not the white man. Y'all understand that by me, he's not the enemy. The enemy is Satan. And this country, this world, he is the prince of it. And of course, one day Christ is going to return and all this stuff is going to be turned around. But in the meantime, we should stay steadfast, unmovable, and believe in the one that created this world and created this country as well through white men who did not, more likely didn't intend for them to put everything that is in the Constitution the way it is. But when God is involved, everything changes the way he wants it to be done. And so we take great pride in knowing that this country has been under God's control. And it is still under his control, whether we don't see it as well as we would like to see it, but we know it's under his control. And so we stay as believers that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. Now, as we talk about the election coming up with our president, Biden, everyone is talking about him getting old, but the one that's going to run against him again, so he says, Donald Trump, he's just as old as President Biden. So it's more to it than just age. It's an undergirdled?
Well, undercurrent.
Undercurrent.
But we all know that age is just a number. And it's not about a person's age, because in the Bible we have an individual, Methuselah, that lived 963 years.
And that's going to happen again.
And when God got ready to call him in, he said to God, "Is my time up?" Now, he hadn't done anything with his life constructive in 963 years.
Well, he had children. He had children.
But, you know, the Bible, when you read the story, there's nothing literally recorded that he accomplished. You know, so, you know, having children, that's an accomplishment. But I'm talking about accomplishment in terms of him being in the will of God and perfecting that which is good in society universally for everyone. So nothing is recorded.
But do you know that
about
God had planned that Methuselah was going to live in that long, and of course, after he had made that age, the flood came.
Yeah, but that's not the point I was really trying to make, Dr. Brent. The point I was really trying to make is that a person can live a long life in terms of longevity and do nothing of any real consequence. And so the people who are talking about Biden's age, we know that that's not the issue. They're not concerned about Biden's age because Biden basically
has accomplished
in 2 years has accomplished more than the last 15
20 years.
Well, the last 15 presidents accomplished in 4 years. So it's not about Biden's age. It's really a coded kind of situation about the vice president, and if God should call Biden in terms of his demise, that she would be the president. So that's what they're really dealing with. But we also know that the issue is about race, because Kamala Harris then would be the first female president, but she's black.
Yeah, she claims
and so
to be
that's
black.
why they telling Biden not to run, and he shouldn't run, because they're trying to predict that he might die and Kamala Harris will be the first female president, but she black. Well, if you wanted a white female president, why in 2016 didn't you vote for Hillary Clinton?
Because a whole bunch of white women voted against her. I couldn't understand that at all.
So
I just don't understand white women.
A female president.
What is their problem?
That's right. So if having a female president is important to you, why didn't you vote for Hillary Clinton? Well, you didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because confused white men that you were married to told you not to.
Wow. They have really
and you
control.
No question about it.
Real control.
So you followed their instructions. You didn't vote your own godly mind.
Exactly. And yes.
You know, as though you are. Now, sure, you married, and you should honor your husband and love your husband and all of that, but you still got your own mind.
Yes.
And you ought to be able to think
for yourself,
logically, for yourself.
Yes.
Now, anybody with common sense would have known that Hillary Clinton was much more qualified than the average man.
Yes.
Running for president, and certainly she was far more qualified than Donald J. Trump.
Yes,
because Donald J. Trump basically had malnutrition of the brain. You know, anybody that would get on a tape with a news person and talk about they grab women and this and that, and I have the right to. I mean, you know, you got a problem.
And it was released, and of course, it changed according to his prediction that nothing would be done to him.
And something has been done, because now, for grabbing a female, he has been convicted, and a fine levied against him of $5 million. So,
well, you know, the white women will probably still go and vote for him too. And as if he was, he is their master.
In the polls that he is leading. Yeah, he is leading.
About 6%.
Yeah, he's leading. He's leaving the polls on the Republican side, that is. And that means white women are standing by a man that degrades their agenda.
No, they're beings.
They're beings, of course.
Because
degrade them as a whole.
God created you. God said He knew you before you was conceived in your mother's womb.
Exactly.
So it's not about your sex status.
No.
It's about your being, and your being is from God because it's ontological.
Yes.
So
exactly.
If you degrade yourself and look down upon yourself, what you expect from others, especially men of the caliber of former President Trump, because he's already let the world know how he feels about women. Because I tell you one thing, ain't no way in the world any man with common sense would get out here and say that kind of mess about, I have the right. No, you don't have the right
that
to just
kind of right
no
to override my will. You don't have that kind of right. That's for sure. And of course, we want to keep in mind that let's vote. Don't stay at home and not vote and feel like somebody else is going to do the right thing. They're not. So continue to vote. Continue to read and watch what's going on, especially about the presidential race that's coming up. I don't understand how they would even let Trump do anything like that according to the law. So, but we have a mayoral race coming up right here in Houston, and it seems as if it's going to be some differences going on in regards to that time that's coming up. We know that it's maybe 4 or 5 that are still.
No, it's quite with 8 or 9.
Well, I'm looking at the 4 or 5 that would probably be in the head runners of the situation, and that's coming up in Houston. And we are growing so fast in Houston. I even hate to get up, especially after 1 o'clock on the freeway, and it's getting more hazardous to drive in Houston than it was.
Well, you got a lot of
Los Angeles, California, when I visited there.
You have really about 300 people almost every week
coming into
Houston. Mm-hmm. 300 different families moving here because of the environment, socioeconomically and so forth.
But they won't last for long.
This upcoming election, presidential election, it will be really the most consequential election maybe in the past 50 years or 60 years, because it's going to determine whether or not we will be able to survive as a multicultural democracy, or whether or not we will shift or slide into an autocratic, white privilege-oriented society. This is a very serious election coming up in a year and a half. And Houston, you need to get out and register if you have not registered to vote. And when voting occurs, you need to
because it's a serious
vote.
Matter. It's a serious
because
matter.
It's a very serious matter. And we got 2 other serious matters that we have to contend
and also
with.
our Latino votes. Let me bring that up too, Doc, if you permit. And the Latino voters need to vote. Y'all need to stop staying at home and expecting that everything is going to be all right.
Especially the ones that are eligible to vote.
Yeah, well, that's the ones I'm speaking to.
Yeah,
we're speaking to you that are.
There are a lot of Latinos
that
not
can vote.
Eligible.
It's quite a few of them that can vote because
they're not American citizens.
Well, those that are not American citizens, we don't expect for them to vote. But those that are American citizens, we do expect for you to vote and not stay.
And vote your moral God conscience.
And what would be their moral God conscience? Because they are conscious of.
Well, it's certainly not voting for people who are against you because of your skin tone.
Well, we understand that you need to vote, and your skin tone, whether you think you're white Latinos or whether you think you're black Latinos, you vote. Vote that is good for America, because you're staying here now, and we all need to handle this thing accordingly to what is good for the country, for the people in the country, and what God intends for this country to be. And if you don't vote, then we don't have a good say in what's going to happen. But if you vote, you have a good say of what can occur and what can happen. And a lot of folks don't believe that voting counts, but voting does count. Because you don't have the money, then most of them, everyone that don't have money do have that privilege. And it's a good privilege. The best privilege in the world is to be able to pick the one that you want to be over your country, your law, making good laws and things like that. Those are the people that you want. And when anytime you let a country like this go into the hands of greedy, unworthy, racist people, we will not survive. This country will not survive. And it has survived over the many years because of the love, the understanding, and the privilege that we have had over the last, almost 70 years, tell the truth, for this whole country. But it was designed to do what is right and to treat everyone right. That's what it was designed for. Not by man, but by God. Y'all take that in your hearts and go vote. The border issues, the racial issues, the economic issues, all of those issues are important, and they need to have some people that are in position who feel the same way you feel, and not lie, not cheat, not hate, not loving, but caring for the whole country and the world. We got a few minutes left. Bobby, you want to say another?
Well, I think that we need to be in prayer, all of us, that the debt ceiling issue gets resolved, that somehow the two sides can come together rather than have the country go into default.
I don't think that's
because I don't think that the country will go in default, but you never know with the people that
we have in
the administration has to contend with, because they want to cut all kinds of programs that benefit working class individuals and people who are in poverty, whether they receive welfare, food stamps, etc., and so forth. They want to cut all those programs and tie all of that to the money that has already been spent. And now, we have to pay the bills. And so
we never paid the bills.
And so consequently, we've always paid our bills.
No, I'm speaking of, I put it this way. We owe countries. Those countries owed us way before we owed them, and they have never paid us back. Never paid their debt.
That's not the primary cause of what's going on with the debt.
What's the primary
they're trying
cause?
To say it's domestic spending. The money that. Well, that's what the Republicans are saying. That's what they're dealing.
Just because they're saying it does not mean they're right. That's not the issue, you all. Please believe that.
Yeah, they're dealing with money that was spent on this, and mainly that's why they want to cut social welfare type programs.
They're crazy with the heat.
So that's the issue.
That's not it.
But I don't think that sensible, sane-minded people
you'd even go along with that
bullcone.
That's bullcone.
To default on its debt.
No, and first of all, the debt, if every country that America has pulled out of poverty, out of hardship, and made billions of dollars donation to that country. If every country that is now not backing America as America has backed them, they owe us, if they would pay us back. And then when I say us, I'm talking about our government that had pulled them out of hardships and different things. They pay us back, then we will be all right as well.
Well, see,
just pay us back.
They're not dealing with money that we give. Like we've given now billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Sure.
We've given that to them.
Sure,
it's not that we lent the money to them.
I'm not speaking of Ukraine. I'm not speaking that's because of a war.
Yeah, I'm talking about even in terms of world disasters and so forth. We didn't lend the money to a lot of people in these countries. We gave the money to them. So it's not. So the debt ceiling is not related to money that we have given to other countries. They're talking about
we loaned to other countries as well.
They're talking about
not given.
Well, they're talking about now. The issue is money that is spent domestically. That's what they're dealing with. Money that's spent on various kinds of welfare programs, the money that we spent for COVID and all of that. That's what they're dealing with and saying we can default on that.
Sure we could. Because all we have to do is go to the printing. We can default on that debt because, first of all, it is our debt here in America. Nobody else has helped us do anything.
A lot of times we borrow money from other countries.
And they have borrowed from us.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is,
they owe us just as much as we owe them. More than we owe them, tell the truth. Just look it up. All you have to do is look it up. The countries that France, England, not so much England, but so much France, Japan, China, all those countries owe us money. Germany, all those countries owe us money. They have never paid us back, Doc. Never have paid us back. And as if they have forgotten that they have a debt with us. And so if we could collect from them as they would want to collect from us.
We're trying to say now.
Saudi Arabia, we've done all of those things for those guys. Paid their debts.
We ain't have to lend no Saudi Arabia. They got plenty of money.
Oh, no, they got plenty of money now, but they didn't at one time.
They have the oil.
Because America brought in the equipment and everything else.
The issue of the debt ceiling has to do with domestic spending. That's what they're dealing with. They're not dealing with money that we have
domestic spending is easy to overcome. Domestic spending is easy to overcome in this country because we have a printing press. And what is our printing press?
Well, that's where you get inflation
because we have they've done it over the years. So so why would you worry about it now when the Republicans were in office for over 20 years? There was Bush twice. About 20 some years, the Republicans in office, and we were in debt, and we still will be in debt domestically. And we overcome, or we will go into a depression, either way.
Well, right now we have about $31 trillion worth of debt. We have debt. So we know we have debt, but we pay our bills. We still pay on the debt.
To whom? If you have domestic debt,
we borrow money from China or whoever, we pay on that debt. We don't default on the debt. Why would you want to pay on your
debt when they owe you?
Yeah, we know.
China now has more financial blessings, as I would say, than America has now. They did not. And we helped them.
Obviously, China is the second.
Of course, by the help of the United States. Everybody needs to recognize that. Everyone needs to recognize that China was helped by the United States. Everyone needs to recognize that Japan was helped by the United States. All these countries that are continuously growing and acting as if the United States is the baby, and in which we are, the baby of all these older countries. But we still were...
Well, they paid their debt too.
To whom?
Well, whoever they borrowed money from.
No, they don't.
They do pay their
Well,
debt.
if that was the
Those
case,
countries,
if that was the case, we would be trillions of dollars above
China
if they would pay that interest and what they owe the United States.
Well, if they owe us, they paying us.
No, they don't.
They have not defaulted. China has not defaulted on its debt.
Why you? What you talking about?
No, Clara. When did China default on its debt?
China has defaulted on its debt ever since 1945.
No. Clara, they don't default.
Check it out, y'all.
Defaulting on its debt.
Check China out for defaulting on its debt to the United States. Check Japan out for defaulting on its debts to the United States. Check them out and see. And I'll take all this back. Just check it out.
All right, okay.
I'll take all of it back and apologize and everything else. But check it out and see how these world countries are going against America, and actually they did not. This is just a inner thing that's going on in America, according between two branches. I would call branches, Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are giving many good lies. Now say it loud and clear: lies about what's going on that can be. Well, just taken care of. That could be taken care of if both sides of the aisle in Washington, D.C. would come together and do the right thing and stop fighting so much and start reasoning and praying.
We do know right now, let's put it this way, Dr. Brett, we know right now the debt ceiling problem is about domestic.
Anyway, aren't you?
It's not. It's about domestic spending.
Okay, we're gonna say it anyway.
It's not about foreign debt spending. And people who are in foreign countries owing us. It's about money that we have spent for various things internally in our own country, and now the bills are coming due.
By whom and to whom?
Well,
who do we owe? Do we owe ourselves?
Probably.
Do the government owe the people, or the people owe the government?
Well,
now, what is the domestic problem?
It's been borrowed from China. It's been borrowed.
Oh, there we go again. It's not domestic then. It's not a domestic problem in regards to our debt. It is a world problem.
Right, sure, it's a world problem because everybody owes everybody.
Thank you. Now we coming. Now we got this thing going. Now we got this thing going. It's a world problem.
We
owe each other.
So, but the ones who owe us, they pay us. Are they paying on their debt? They're not reneging.
No, they're not.
They're not. No, they haven't reneged on their debt. They haven't defaulted on their debt.
Well, we'll wait and see. We'll see how everything is going to be. We love you. Surely God loves you. And you take care. We'll see you next time. God bless.